Yes, yes. Peace, Tanika. Text you to let me know what's going down. Qualities uniting essential earth nurturing. Anybody who has a scheduled consultation, if you already made payments, that means we already have a schedule. I know I got one scheduled, one brother scheduled. I know y'all time zones are different. Y'all know I'm in New York, so let's get those time zones correct. Peace to the soul warrior. Knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. Peace to the kings. Peace to the gods. Had to get back into these waters of noon. Had to go handle something real quick. But I said, you know what? Nah, let's go get back into those waters of noon. Embrace this weather. They might call it a gray day, but I call it the day of silver. It's a good day to me. Appreciate my rainy days, my cleansing days. The tears of noon cleansing me in every way possible based on my perception, but not your perception. Appreciate this early darkness. I love that. Bringing the shadow hour up early. Love that. It's trying to come down more now. It's always a good thing. Speak up, family. I know ain't too many in here right now. That's fine. Let's exchange. Before I wrap it up for today. Did a morning consultation. Just finished some servicing. I should have another one, another two actually. They in two different time zones though. Not sure. One is definitely solidified. It's important y'all let me know ahead of time because sometimes these consultations will run together based on the fact that a lot of y'all are in different time zones and then, we got to rearrange things. Okay, we can talk about the German word God, which only means good. It's a German word. It means good. That's all. There's nothing deep about it. It's just a German word. Some will say Greek, but I haven't really found any Greek correlation that looks exactly like God. But when you go to the German, it says good with a UD. So it means good, and good means good. Like it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. So it's not this all-powerful, whatever, yada, yada, yada. It just means a good thing. It means good. So God is good. So that one is not as deep as we would like it to be. And you got to remember that the English language is a bastardized language of Latin, German, and Greek. So it's a mixture of all these different languages. This is why the English language is one of the easiest language, but at the end of the day, it's also the dumbest language because they keep the letters that they choose not to pronounce, which disconnects you to the tones, which disconnects you to the vibrate of your chest plate, which disconnects the left and right hemisphere of your brain to connect to each other because you're not stating or pronouncing the tones within the words. So basically, it's a dead language. Nater, N-T-R, N-T-R-U, Netaru, Nater, which means nothing but nature. So yes, you use Nater or Netaru. Netaru means multiple. Neteru is multiple gods, and Neter is one god. Triple black truth, peace, knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. Yeah, those two things are pretty simple. There's nothing too deep about it. That's why you'll see a lot of pages, they say NTR, that's Neter, or NTRU, that's Neteru. That's why if you notice, once again, this proves to you how bastardized the English language is, because when you go to older languages, they don't have silent letters, and their spelling is extremely simplistic. So instead of saying Neter as Neter, they say Neter as NTR. You see, instead of saying Heru as Heru, they say Har, HR. You see, so they actually, once again, this is why simplicity is divinity, because in your ancient languages they simplified everything down to either one symbol, one or two letters. The Europeans came along and made gigantic fucking letters and gigantic words for no damn reason that mean the same thing as a smaller word. Ronnie B, peace, knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. Shit. I knew I should have put this damn phone in plastic. So at our highest forms, did we use words? Well, as you should already know, there's multiple levels to the heights or the falls. And to this very day, we have the remnants of that when we talk about the tribe. I forget the exact name, The exact name is not being accessed effortlessly in my archives right now, but I will find the name. I'll probably do a lesson on it. But there's specific tribes who still use the click tones. One of y'all probably is going to know the tribe that I'm talking about. They use tones. They use click sounds, just like a dolphin. A dolphin clicks to communicate, so they use different clicking tones. Now, this is another form of communication, but then you got to remember you fell from a telepathic state to where you sent symbols to each other's minds. You sent pictures to each other's minds. The same way today that we can speak in emoji, but unfortunately those emoji are created by white people. So yes, at our highest state, we spoke in tones. At an even higher state, we were telepathic. And to this very day, you have Wolof. Wolof is an actual African language that's connected to Neteru. That's why when you had these fools like the Pharaoh guy, whatever, I don't like saying people's name, talking about, oh, the Neteru has never been this and that, but you still have offshoots of the Neteru, which is called Wolof. That's why they know what the Neteru is. So you can't just stick to the Rosetta Stone, because there's still African tribes and languages that still speak remnants of the ancient language. And Wolof is one of those languages that's connected to Medu Neter. All you gotta do is look for the correlations in existence, and you'll find them, because nothing is disconnected. It's only disconnected when your perception is fractionalized based on the ideology that comes from a European when you look at things. So you only see things in one direction. You only see the left side. You don't see the right side. You only see the masculine. You don't see the feminine. You see things in one way only. So absolutely, we fell from a state of telepathy, which is why there is no there is no prehistoric or totemic writing per se. All you saw was pictures and drawings and blah, blah, blah. And they didn't even need to do that. But this is why the European will go, oh, well, they were primitive because they had no writing, yet they were primitive, but yet they built 92 pyramids? I don't understand that. They say that a lot about Nubia and Meroe. They say that it's behind Egypt when it's the mother of Egypt, because they can't find the extensive writing records that Egyptians left. But we're forgetting that Egyptians were in the middle of their own fall. So they had to write and record things to hopefully give an activation system to those who came after them after they fell. Are y'all hearing me? And y'all can hear me, whatever. Is anybody there? Peace, peace, peace to the gruesome's laughs. Knowledge and understanding noble guidance, assuming that you're in the masculine energy. Okay, all right. Lockdown it is. I would choose other words, but hey, you know, your perception is reality. I remember they were saying New York was the worst city in America. Oh, New York has the highest rate of this and that. My ass still walking around looking like this. I got videos. Y'all see my videos. I got videos going in and out of stores and shit, sitting down in restaurants and shit. Come on now. Your perception dictates your reality. And I'm so sick of humans being scared to break the rules. Break the fucking rules. Because if you're going to deny my business based on me wrapping my face in some dumbass cloth, then guess what? You should be losing business. And I don't mean losing business because the government tells people to stay home. I mean losing business because humans are utilizing intelligence and saying, I'm not going to go to you until you refuse this dumb shit. Oh, absolutely. You got to remember the Egyptians, the ancient we got to specify, y'all. Never forget. The ancient Egyptians or your ancestor Cometians, because remember, when you say Egyptian, you can still be talking about them Arab motherfuckers right now. So it's important we specify ancient Egyptian. Your ancient Egyptians, understand there's no infancy of ancient Egypt. And what I mean by that, they can't find any form where Egypt begins and is just starting out. Egypt is already at a high advanced state at its first state. And that's because those who so-called set the foundations of Egypt was already advanced. So there is no primitive Egypt. That's why even when they go back to the first and the earliest dynasties, there is no primitive Egypt. It's all advanced. As a matter of fact, they were more advanced before the dynasties got older. So the further you go back, the more advanced you become. And mind you, we have European minds to where we think the further we go back in time, the more we're beating rocks together and fucking scratching our behinds and fucking laying with dogs and shit and can't speak or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because we keep using their measurement of advancement based on their time frame. Because the further back in time they go, the dumber they become. The further back in time we go, the more divine we become. So absolutely, they were aware, and this is why they left extensive record. And not only did they leave extensive record, but the way they recorded things was in a preschool manner. And, you know, white people will make fun of it. Oh, look at them and their beliefs. No, they were breaking things down to the most simplistic aspects. So when you saw it as the next generation, you didn't have to break some elaborate code. You just look, you see a ton. You see his hands directed towards the sun. You see different tiny little hands coming from the sun. You understood what you were looking at. You didn't have to get this extreme, elaborate breakdown like you're breaking down some secret Da Vinci code. White people do that shit. Peace, peace, peace. Qualities uniting, essential earth nurturing. Peace to the queens entering the room. Hope we taking care of our sons. There you go. Because once again, this is why if you notice, I'm always breaking down things to where a child can understand it. Because what's the point? If you understand something and you know something, you should be able to teach it to a 3-year-old just like you could teach it to a 30-year-old. And that's why we got to be aware of people who go, oh, you're not on that level, or what do people say? You have to be initiated to know this and blah, 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 blah. I strongly respect compensation and reciprocation. But when you tell me the only way I can do something is by going through another channel or going through some obligation of right, then now I'm in a religion. Not knocking nobody, but when you give me limitations and restrictions on my expansion, you just put me in a religion. And religion from the Latin means to bind and control, and that's what the fuck you doing to me. Oh, you have to be initiated into the Oshun rites, and you have to be the Orishas and the Ifa, and you have to go through this and go through that. Listen, I respect traditions and customs, but guess what? Every single generation that comes after the next is supposed to enhance and expand the generation that it passed. So if you're forcing me to stay in a box of some certain tradition that was based on a mindset that was in a time of a fall, I can't rock with you. TLXB, not sure of the energy. TLXB, okay, peace, king. Knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. Yeah, so I don't rock with none of that nonsense. Don't tell me I can't reach a level without this and without that. You will never hear Mind Ascension talking any of that bullshit to y'all. Because I'm here to activate what y'all already are. I'm not here to be your personal God. I'm not here to be your personal leader. I'm here to activate your ass as God so we can dwell together. So we can dwell together in this bitch. You see what I'm saying? To prepare you for the transition of frequency where you can sit comfortably and can't even notice the change around you as people are dropping like flies, but there's no discomfort within your realm. By peeling away your human layers that make you feel betrayal, that make you feel struggle, that make you feel pain. Darius, peace, king, knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. Appreciate the joining. Add to the energy. Let's add to the energy, y'all. Let's resonate. Let's concentrate. Let's synchronize. Add to the energy. Absolutely. They are a freaking religion. They are a religion. They are Canaanites. Canaanites of the Bible. They are a religion. If you talk to any more and you talk to them for a long period of time, it will sound like a religion. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, when you go to Moorish temples, they actually acknowledge all prophets. They acknowledge all religions and books. So they're no different from the Masons because the Masons do the same thing. The Masons acknowledge the Quran. They acknowledge the Christian Bible. They acknowledge the Torah. They acknowledge everything. They acknowledge all religions, and they respect all religions. And I get that. I understand that. But you're not going to put me in a box of your 120 or 150 years of etymologies and definitions, so I stay within a restriction that only the white European can understand. Because in order for me to be validated, the European has to understand what I'm saying. In order for the European to understand what I'm saying, he has to write the book. So I'm using the book the European wrote to validate myself. Peace, brother. That's what I'm here to do. That's why I say constantly I'm a damn tool. I'm a servant. I don't feel nothing by saying that shit. The master is the slave to the student. Fact. Anybody calling themselves a master, but they don't realize that they are a slave to the student, doesn't understand the concept of what a master is. The same way as women walking around talking about dominance is suppression and submission is weakness and all this nonsense, do not understand that submission or the subatomic particle is the basis and foundation for your entire existence. So without submission, you don't have dominance. So therefore, submission is more powerful than dominance. And I'll break that shit down 1,000 ways. Muchoki X Shabazz. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods. Peace, king, knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. The so-called ancient Moors are nowhere near the... I'll put it to you. Let's break this whole shit down and destroy it. The Moors ruled Europe in 711 AD, correct? Can we all agree on that history? Are we aware of that history that the Moors came into Europe, washed all the filthy Neanderthals' buttholes, and in 711 AD is when they expanded the Moorish Empire through all of Europe? Can we all agree on that history? I'm going to say yes, we can. So if we know for a fact that in 700 AD, the Moors entered Europe, civilized Europe, spread the Moorish Empire without, by the way, enforcing Islam on anybody, because anybody that studied the history of the Moors, the original Moors, which were the Umayyad dynasty, Umayyad, Umayyad dynasty, they were pure African Moors, and they did not enforce their religion on anybody. They allowed Christians to stay Christians. They allowed Jews to stay Jews. This is historical fact. Here's my point. If you look at the Moors in medieval, not even medieval, classical Europe from 700 to 1100, 1200, 1300 AD. Were the Moors talking about nationality? What was a nationality of a Moor when they were ruling Europeans? Can anybody answer that question for me? What was the Moors who were in rule in Europe? I'm talking they were running Europe at the time. Were they concerned about nationality? Was there even a nationality? Can anybody even tell me the nationality that Moors were claiming during their rulership of Europeans? Now, can anybody tell me when the doctrine of nationality came into play? Because it's not ancient. It's not old. It's brand new. And why did nationality come into play? Because you gave up your power, your knowledge, and your rights to Turks and to other Spaniards and Europeans, to where you had to claim a nationality to separate yourself from the people you were enslaving who looked just like you. So now, in order to separate myself, because I can't separate myself by appearance, I have to separate myself by paperwork and a blazing red fez. All we got to do is use intelligence. And not only that, Fez is an actual city. The hat that they wear is called a Tatar bush, which is a whole nother subject I'll never hear nobody touch on. It's called a Tatar bush. You can look this up, Tarbush. If you type in Tatar bush, you're going to see a Fez. If you type in Fez, you'll see a city in Morocco, because during the 15 and 1600s, all those Tatar bushes was manufactured in Morocco. So they just ended up calling them Fez, which is the city that the Tatar bush comes from. So now they call it a Fez. All we got to do is use intelligence. We all use belief. Nobody really use, even the people who think they're conscious, they still don't really use intelligence. They use belief. And there's a difference between someone who is smart, there's a difference between someone who is educated, there's a difference between someone who is knowledgeable, and there's a difference between someone who's using intelligence. A baby can use intelligence. A homeless man can use intelligence. A tree, you can use intelligence. Follow the trail. Stop following what feels good, because that's what we do. We follow what feels good. Oh, that shit, damn, that shit's right. That shit feels good. And then you stay in that box that feels good. I used to walk around holding the Circle 7. When I tapped into the Moorish shit, I was on it for 2 seconds. Then I expanded beyond it. Soon as I started, I said, hold up, wait a second. The conquistadors were Moors. I'm like, hold the fuck up, wait a second. The Moors were supposed to be masters of maritime and sailing. So then that means that they taught the Portuguese and the Spaniards. So that means that they taught the Portuguese and Spaniards how to get to the same land where their people are from. They taught them the language in order to interact with the people, and then they helped them slaughter the same copper-toned people. And then you want to turn around and tell me I need to reclaim my nationality because you gave it away in the first place? They don't want it with me. I used to battle Moors all the time. They leave me alone because you can't. I've always said this. One thing I respect about Moors is they're logical. They're logical. So once you smack them with paperwork, documents, historical reference, they leave you alone. They don't bother you no more because they're logical. They're a logical group, and they're the lawyers of themselves, which would be really nice if they would decide to be lawyers for the non-Moorish black people. But of course, you're a dumb black, so I'm not going to help you in the law until you decide to convert to my religion. So until you convert to my religion as a Moor, you ain't shit to me but a dumb black nigga. And that's how Moors act. And I don't respect that. There should be Moorish district attorneys everywhere. There should be Moorish law offices. And I ain't saying they got to do it for free. I'm not saying you got to do it for free. Get your money. But I'm saying, why is there not Moorish law offices that regular Negroes can go to? Regular-ass Negroes that don't know no better, and they can sit down in the office, do a consultation with a real Moor who's a lawyer, and let the Moor break down what they really are. You'll get way more converts doing that. But guess what? By your alliance to the European, you can't help black people. You have to make them convert first. Then once you make them convert, you make them in allegiance with white people. These motherfuckers don't want it with me. They don't want to hear me talk my shit. Because claiming your nationality is based on the validation from a white person. That's what it's based on. You got to go to their court. You got to present your papers to them. They have to recognize your papers as valid, and then they validate you as what you claim to be. I claim godship right the fuck now. I don't need nobody to validate that shit for me. I live it, I speak it, and I embody it. I don't need a piece of paper to prove it, and I don't need nobody to put a stamp on it with a goddamn mallet and be a fucking judge over my divinity. Am I losing y'all? Are y'all still there? Am I ranting too much? Y'all know me. When I feel I'm talking to myself, I get the fuck off this shit because I don't talk to myself. Well, I talk to myself, but I don't teach myself. That's why I need interaction. I'm not one of them people who could just yap, and there's nobody there. I need my brothers. I need a circle. I need exchange. Other than that, I'll be on the shit that I'm on, which is none of this shit, because all of this shit is human shit. It's simple intelligence. Follow the trail of everything. Moors kill me, because if any of you decide to go look up the Moors of Europe, you won't find one Fez when they were ruling Europe. I dare anybody to find a Fez in Europe during the rulership of Moors. You cannot find one single Fez in any depiction of the Moors in Europe. They all wore turbans. The Fez come from the Turks. Now, the Moors, they like to want to attach shit to, they try to find any little hat they could find in ancient time that might look like a Fez, and they attach it to that. But the fact of the matter is, the Moors of 711 AD, going all the way until the 1400s, where Christopher Columbus ran out of there with the rest of the Portuguese and Spaniards, until 1400 AD, the motherfuckers wore turbans. They wore turbans. They did not wear fezzes. The Fez did not come until you fell. The Fez did not come until you became a... The Fez did not come until you became a slave, until you became one of the missionaries in the Turkish and Spaniard armies, until you became a slave for the Queen of England. This is documented. The conquistadors told you that they were conquering South America and these islands for the Queen of England. They said that shit. We talking about black men who came on boats with white people, talking about they represent the Queen. The Israelites are no different from the Moors. The only difference from the Israelites is they're a little bit more delusional. Israelites and Moors are one and the same. Because if you look at both their doctrines, they both believe they're not African. They both believe being African. They both believe they're not African. They pretty much have the same doctrine. The only thing, the Moors have a little bit more sensical perspective, and the Moors are much more logical and literate. The Israelites are the same as the Moors. They're just way more religious, and their only literacy is in one book. The Moors Bible is the Black Law Dictionary, all the other white dictionaries. You know, the Moors have more than one Bible. The Israelites only have one Bible. That's the only difference between a Moor and an Israelite. And in actuality, the Israelites' dress is more accurate to the Moorish dress before they fell to the Portuguese. So the way you see the Israelites' dress is actually more accurate to the so-called, I can't use the word ancient because 700 AD ain't ancient, but to the so-called classical Moors before they became nationalists. Source knowledge, y'all. Source knowledge. Source knowledge. This is why differentiating things is so important. Because anybody can have knowledge. We all have knowledge, to be honest with you. Anybody with ears, eyes, 5 senses that operate has knowledge. Anybody with 5 senses that operate correctly has knowledge, because knowledge is only accumulation of your environment, experiences, and consistencies in existence. Original Jew is the Falashas, the Ethiopian Falashas. And then, of course, that was later transformed into the Sephardims. The Sephardims is the more mixed Falasha. And then, of course, that was transformed into the Jews we see today. So you have the Sephardim Jew, and you have the Falasha Jew, which is older than the current Jew. And as we already know, the Ashkenazi Khazarian Empire, who is Hebrew converts of 7 AD, during the same time that the Moors, the Christians, and the Muslims were all going to war together, they chose to pick Judaism so they didn't have to take the side of either one. This is well documented. The Jew is a Hebrew convert of 700 AD. The original so-called Jew, which the word never existed, by the way, so we got to be careful when you use that word, because that word was created for them, by them. But the original so-called Jew, which there is no Jew, was the Falasha and the Sephardim. I don't align myself with any group, because I realize that all groups are actually surface level perspectives of one source. The one source is original man. All these groups should be able to agree on one center aspect, which is called you are the original man. You don't want me to say black as a Moor? Fine, I won't say black as a Moor. Can we agree as a Moor that I'm an original man? Okay, we can agree. You don't want me to call myself African as an Israelite? Fine, I'm not African. Can we agree that we are the original Israelites and we are the original man? Fine, we can agree on that. Where's the disagreement and where's the dysfunction now? When I choose a term that's universal, where's our debate? Where's our debate? When I agree with you, okay, you want to say I'm not black? Fine, I'm not black. I'm original. You want to say I'm not African? Fine, I'm not African. I'm original. Where's our debate? How you going to debate me now? You can't debate me. The only way you could debate me if I stay on the surface level with you. Claiming tiny little pieces of the goddamn earth when you own the whole motherfucking solar system. I ain't got no time for that. YDK General. Not sure of the energy. Peace to the gods and goddesses. It's very simple. It's very, very, very simple. And a lot of humans hate simplicity, because simplicity takes away the layers that allows you to argue. It takes away the layers that allows you to do verbal masturbation. It takes away the layers that boost your ego. So when you peel all these layers away, there's nowhere left to go but the source. And so when you go to the source, there's nowhere left to turn but accepting the source. And that's what these humans don't want to do anymore. Because once you start to accept the source, you have to give up your persona. You have to give up your costume. You have to put down the bucket. You have to take the bucket off your head. You got to take the colors off. You got to take your stripes off. And they don't want to do that, because it's the external aspects that make them feel godly. It's your fez that makes you feel special. It's your sash that makes you feel special. It's your title that makes you feel special. I'm special from birth, motherfucker. I don't need a hat. I don't need a badge. I don't need a sash. My intelligence, mind, energy, and my presence alone makes me that. And this is why when you're adding on more layers, you're adding on more ego. Peace, Kayla. Qualities uniting, essential earth nurturing. Peace to the queens. Peace to the goddesses. And that's the problem. They don't want to peel away their layers and their titles and their terms, because it makes them feel good. Without your title, your layers, your terms, your persona, you feel butt naked and you feel weak, which means you've been weak all along. You've been weak all along. Because if that Fendi shirt makes you feel good about yourself, you've been a weak nigga since birth. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with enhancing yourself. There's nothing wrong with impeccable hygiene. There's nothing wrong with appreciating quality. But if you can't appreciate the quality that you can produce yourself, and that quality has to come from outside of yourself, from someone who don't even look like your ass, you a weak motherfucker. We all know what the original is. White people, black people, everybody know what the original is. And you know how they know? Because you're the only group or race on the planet that they will actually get offended if you choose to stay with yourself. Has anybody ever noticed that? You are the only group that if you say, oh no, I have a black wife and black children, I love black people, they're, why? They get so offended. Because they know you're the original, and they know that if you only breed with yourself, you will actually bring back the gods. And that's another subject that we're very, how would you say, scared of. Everybody knows you're original. Everybody. I don't care if they admit it or not. They know, because something inside them makes them feel offensive. Something inside them makes them feel offended when you want to practice self-preservation. When you go to a Chinaman and you say, I love Chinese people, I have a Chinese wife and Chinese kids, nobody gives a shit about that nigga. When you go to a Jew and he says, I'm a Jewish man, I love Jewish women, I want Jewish, nobody gives a fuck about that nigga. When the Indian says, any other race says this, nobody cares. But as a black man and a black woman, and you tell somebody that you only want a black woman or a black man as a mate, everybody gets offended. Because they understand that you are the original root. And the more that you breed upon yourself over and over again, your genetics will enhance themselves, and you will bring back those mortals, those immortal gods that lived at one time on this earth. And this is a subject we don't want to touch, which, by the way, white people took from us, which is incest, by the way, because the white people who stole and learned from the advanced black people tried to take their practices, but they're forgetting that your genetic can't do the same practices as mine, because you will degenerate yourself, because you are of a recessive trait, not a dominant trait. So you can't mix two recessive traits together. You'll get a degenerate. Are y'all there? Am I talking to myself? Let me know. I think I might upload this one. I made a great live with my brother the other day, and the damn thing evaporated off my damn phone. I left it too long. I know I should have uploaded it immediately, but I left it too long. I got distracted. There's a lot of taboos that we don't want to touch on and we don't want to talk about because our human brain stops us. And not only that, you got to understand how white people will make something a taboo because they can't do it. Never forget that shit. White people will make something taboo because they can't do it themselves. And every time they practice it, they destroy and deform themselves. So they'll tell you it's wrong and it's terrible and blah, 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 blah. Or they'll make something taboo that they don't want you to tap into and they want to keep for themselves. That's the other side. So you got one side they make taboo because they can't do it at all. Then you got another side they make taboo because they want to keep it for themselves. The white man is a gravitation, period. Get all of that come from shit. They didn't fall from the sky. They didn't come in a magical spaceship. They are experimentation, gravitation. They are Frankensteins. That's what they are. And they are Frankensteins that you came along and advanced them even further. So let's say somebody built a car and dropped it off at your block, and you live next to a mechanic, and then the mechanic soups up the car. The mechanic puts exhaust. The mechanic puts what you call it, what's that, nostrils or whatever. The mechanic makes the car into a damn spaceship. And now today you looking at that spaceship like, oh shit, well how did that spaceship come to be? But for you forgetting that fucking spaceship was a goddamn tricycle, okay? And you advanced it. You didn't create it, you advanced it. Which, by the way, goes into the Moors as well. that's technically a separate story. So bottom line, without trying to get super special, you're dealing with a graftation of numerous animals and a graftation of humanoid genetic. Period. Period. That's why they are humanoids. They are humanoids. That's why they don't have the same melanin that you have. That's why their cellular structure has a different center, which is sulfur base. That's why they don't have 12 cranial system. That's why they don't have 360 gastrinal centers in their gut. Literally everything about that's why their blood has no iron in it. That's why their bones aren't dense. Our bones are 10 times denser than theirs. Our blood has 10 times more iron in theirs. There's a million different things I could go into. Million different things. We are not the same, and we don't come from the same shit. The Yaqub story is a priesthood. Yaqub is not one man. Yaqub is a priesthood. Yaqub is a scientific priesthood. The same way y'all might hear about the Labyrinth group today. I don't know if y'all are aware of these different scientific underground groups like the Labyrinth group and all these other different groups. What's that in New Mexico? Plum Island, all these different places. Yaqub is not one person. Yaqub is not one big head nigga. Yaqub is a priesthood of scientists. No. Not Moors as one of the first. No, because religions go back a long time. A religion is anything that binds you into any form of restriction. That's my definition. Y'all are thinking about religion as Christian, Judaism, blah. I'm not thinking about religion. Religion is anything that binds you to a construct with restrictions added to it. So as soon as you step out of it, you're doing something wrong and evil or bad. That's a religion. So I'm a vegan. So guess what? If I have a cheeseburger on a Saturday, I just fucking broke the vegan code. And now all my vegan friends, they all chastise me now. Now I'm not part of the group anymore. Now I'm an acidic devil. Now I'm full of toxins. I'm toxin filled now. That's a religion. That's a religion. You see what I'm saying? You got people out there who make weed their religion. So if I decide to become an alcoholic, I get chastised by the weed heads. That's a religion. If I show you proof that weed makes you stupid, the weed heads want to attack me. That's a religion. Ajay. I'm assuming the feminine energy, peace, queens, qualities, uniting, essential, earth, nurturing. Anything that binds you and controls you is a religion, period. Period. If you can't step out of that thing without being attacked or without being shamed, it's a religion. Yes, you got to remember, first of all, y'all do understand that the priesthood was higher than the king. I don't know if y'all realize that. In ancient times, the priesthood was higher than the king. As a matter of fact, in many dynasties, the priests were in rulership. You had priest kings. So the priesthood was always higher than the kingship, okay, which is a whole other story. The priests at our times, in ancient times, dealt with sciences. As a matter of fact, Thoth, or Jehudi, was part of that priesthood, which is why Thoth and Jehudi actually inseminated Isis or Aset. The mythological story is based on an actual one, where Aset was inseminated with Asar, with Asar's light. The same way that they inseminate a woman today. J.U., okay. Thank you. Another ripple in the brain. I love it. Got all them A's in there, girl. Yes, Island of Dr. Monroe. That's a perfect example. Excellent. Of course I've seen that movie. I'm a fucking movie addict. Island of Dr. Rowe. That's another good one. Splice. The most recent one, Splice. If y'all ain't seen Splice, get that. Matter of fact, I think Bobby Hemmett broke down Splice too. Splice is another one that's much more recent. Splice is a good movie. Well, I don't want to give too much away in the movie, but Splice is a good one. If y'all ain't see Splice, Splice, go get Splice. A good one. Oh, okay, yeah. See, flexing for the gram and shit. You see what I'm saying? See, that's the persona. Yes, Splice was that shit, boy. Whew. That nigga fucked that lizard, didn't he? Jesus Christ. Yo, white people, man. Ah! Woo! I'm telling you, boy. I ain't judging. I'm just using observation. But talk to me, Divine Family. Talk to me. It's not no big mystery with these goddamn white people. There's way too much biological, biochemistry, neurological, anatomical, osteological. There's too much evidence that's so abundant that these motherfuckers do not come from you. Too much. And let's stretch it out a little further. A lot of white people aren't real white people. Y'all have heard me say that before. Y'all even heard Bobby Hemmings say it before. A lot of white people are not real white people. Because some people will go, well, if white people are this and that, then how can we breed with them? And da-da-da-da-da-da. The same way that you can have a fucking wolf breed with a mutt canine species. They're still not the same species. One is a caninoid, and one is the original canine, which is the wolf. You see? So you can still interbreed them to some extent. But then another thing nobody talks about is there's a lot of white and black people that can't breed at all. Nobody talks about that. There's a lot of white and black people who cannot breed, period. But that never gets talked about because the genetics is too different. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that was crazy. That was crazy. And I'm a nasty, freaky motherfucker. I don't believe in limitations, but goddamn, that bitch had dragon hooves and shit, fucking tail swinging, and I'm like, nigga, really? And the tail had fucking needles and stingers in it and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is these niggas? Oh Lord, these niggas, oh Lord. Well, yeah, you seem to be asking obvious questions, brother. I appreciate the question because I feel you're actually just trying to keep the show going, which is good, and I strongly appreciate that. But where do you think their control came from? We just finished talking about the Moors. What did I just tell you about the Moors? What did the Moors do? What happened to the Moors that made them need to have nationality? You can't teach a monkey all forms of knowledge in existence, and then the child you give birth to, you lock them in a box with no knowledge. By the time that child reaches 18, 20, 30 years old, it's going to be a dumb child following a monkey. Hello? It's really not that difficult to see. All you got to do is erase everything I ever did after you master it. So you master it first, then you erase all my accomplishments, and then the generation that came after me who's aware can only learn from you. And since I can only learn from you, you become my controller. It's very simple. Oh, yeah, he was into it. But, you know, they deep down inside, they know that they're animals. So, I really don't judge their stuff that they do because it's in their genetic. It's a part of them, There's canine in their blood, so the dog is their best friend. The dog is their brother. The dog is their sister, So I don't, it's what they're supposed to do. Yes, but it's very simple. We need to get out of it. How did white people get it? It's so fucking simple. It's so simple. A lot of y'all are parents. You gave birth to your child. But guess what? If you drop your child in a cave with dogs and come back 18 years later, the child's going to act like a dog. And guess what? Anybody who acts like a human will be a master of that child. It's simple. It's not that hard. Now, see, it's funny because, as you know, they've demonized the snake so much. The only reason why I'm saying this is because mine essentially is about source knowledge. As we know, the serpent represents wisdom, regeneration. The serpent represents so many beautiful, amazing things, which is why every pharaoh had a serpent on their crown. But then here comes white people. Here comes white people, and they start calling the snake the devil. But meanwhile, all of your pharaohs, check all of your pharaoh's headdress. Every pharaoh's headdress had a cobra on it. So why would I put something so lowly on somebody who's supposed to be so high? So we got to be careful with it. That's why everything has to be redefined. I don't care how small it is. Everything has to be redefined because who gave you the definition in the first place? You see what I'm saying? So everything has to be redefined. Who told you Eve was the devil and made Adam do something wrong, taking accountability from Adam? Who told you, the serpent represents this? Do you understand that they were scared to touch the vagina during birth? Which is why a lot of women died, because they were scared to touch the woman because they believed that the vagina let in evil spirits, which is why the tradition for putting a white cloth around her body is from, because remember, white represents purity. So they would put a white cloth around her lower half in order to trap the spirit so they could take the baby out. Absolutely. You're talking about the caduceus or the uraeus. I have that on my chest. The caduceus or the uraeus. Absolutely. So you want to tell me the snake is evil, but then you want me to go to a doctor who's representing the snake. Come on now. They're the most contradictory motherfuckers you'll ever see. The sword from Imhotep? I'm not aware of a sword from Imhotep. Now, you might be talking about the staff. There's a staff. It's funny you bring that up, because if you notice, you don't ever see none of our gods or goddesses depicted with weapons. I don't know if we pay attention to that stuff. When you look at the gods and goddesses of Egypt, they all have ankhs and staffs. None of them have swords and axes and daggers and all this crazy shit. Now, don't get it twisted. The pharaohs did keep daggers and certain things like that, but when you see our ancient depictions, they're not waving swords and stuff around. When you see the gods and goddesses, they all have an ankh in one hand, and they have the uas, or the staff, in the other hand, which I explained this on another live for a whole other reason they did that. But it's very rare you see deities with weapons. And I'm not talking about the drawings that they do today, because now today you'll find all these beautiful, don't get me wrong, the drawings are beautiful. You'll find all these beautiful artwork of all our ancient gods and goddesses looking fierce and wrathful and all this shit. I'm talking about what's on the stone walls. I'm talking about what's on the papyrus. And you don't see no sword swinging and axe swinging on the papyrus that represents the gods and the goddesses. All of them have an ankh and a staff, period. Yes, the staff. Absolutely. Source knowledge, family. Source knowledge. If we are not dealing with source, we're dealing with illusions, delusions, belief. We want everything to be our favorite thing. We want to feel good. Because source knowledge is not about making you feel good. That's the problem with it. Purge God bad. Peace, peace, peace. Not sure of the energy, so peace to the gods and goddesses. Talk to me, family. Did I give y'all enough? Did I give y'all enough on this live? Shit. Let me know when if y'all got somebody that y'all go live with or something that give y'all like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 subjects in an hour. Let me know so I can go learn from them. Yes. Only reason why I'm slightly hesitant of the matriarchal aspect is because some would say it was some would say it's what's the word? Unilateral. Unilateral. But, to not get overly technical, yeah, it was matriarchal. And the only reason why I will say matriarchal is because the mother was recognized as first. Not because women ruled everything, but because the mother was the first to be deified ever on the planet. So we understood that the mother is what gives birth to the child, which means that every child comes second to the mother. You see? Which leads me to one thing I brought up one time. We always crying over children and save the children, all the babies and the babies and the babies with the babies and all of that type of stuff. But if there's a baby in the street and there's a woman in the street, which one do you save? Now, the average human will say the baby because the baby is precious and the baby is a baby. But at the end of the day, where do all babies come from? Because if I save that baby and that baby is a boy and I let the woman die and she's the last woman left, we all fucked. We all fucked. If there's one woman with 1,000 men, we all fucked. But if there's one man with 1,000 women, we repopulate the earth in less than 5 years. Of course, this is another touchy subject that everybody gets mad about. Not everybody. Women get mad about, but it's an absolute fact, and you can't debate me on it. You could be one woman with 5 husbands. How many babies you going to have? The same number of babies if you had one husband, so shut the fuck up. Cut the dumb shit. I don't know if you got 10,000 husbands. How many babies you gonna have? The same amount of babies you would have had with one husband. Shut the fuck up. Get mad all you want, but nature made that design. Nature did that shit, not no man. And y'all need to start remembering that shit. Mother Nature designed you like that. No man had nothing to do with that. I could be the last man on earth and repopulate the whole world. Because nature designed me like that. Not no white man, not no patriarchal system. Nature designed me like that. So I don't give a damn how many gangbangs your ass has. You can only get pregnant one time at a time. We got to start using intelligence over belief and over how we feel. That is the problem. We are not using intelligence. Use intelligence. Teach your children to use intelligence. Don't teach them the right way. Don't teach them the wrong way. Teach them to use intelligence. Let's go. Does that make sense to you? Which one is more efficient? Which one do you benefit from? Which one do they benefit from? Ask them question after question after question. Make their brain start to crank. Don't just tell them, no, that's wrong and this is right. No, that's wrong and right for your ass. That's wrong and right due to your perception. Don't fucking destroy that child's perception by giving them your own. Are y'all hearing me? Am I talking to y'all? Because that's what we do. We destroy our children by giving them our own perceptions that we feel has worked for us. Not understanding that every generation that comes after you is supposed to expand beyond you, not imitate you. The imitation is based on the foundation that's laid. I imitate the foundation you laid, and I expand upon that foundation. Higgins D. I'm curious because Higgins is, what they call that? What they call your mom's name before they get married? What they call that when the last name, not your surname, what do white people call that shit again? Your maiden name, I guess? Yeah, Higgins is a maiden name in my family.